This guy's going to be co-anchoring his 21st selection Sunday. 21 of them he's got on the resume. It is next Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on CBS. We are going to do our own Selection Sunday show for fun next Sunday live. He's also the co-founder and editor-in-chief of Hoops HQ. Seth Davis with us. Again, 21 years is crazy. I don't think he's been on since last year at about this time, so I will start in the obvious place. Are you caught up on White Lotus, sir?
You have named, first of all, it's amazing to hear you say that I've done 21 shows because I'm only 26. So obviously I'm the Doogie Howser of sports broadcasting. You've actually named, Dan, one of the shows I actually watch. I am not a shows guy or a movie. I'm even worse with movies. So I've watched a few shows. I am not caught up on White Lotus. I am through season 2. I know we're in season 3. I've watched a couple episodes of Severance. I have no idea what's going on, but then again, I usually don't have any idea what's going on. So it's all good.
Are you guys falling asleep during Severance? I like Severance, but I keep falling. I cannot stay awake for Severance. There's something about the tone and the pacing of it that is so slow that I'm perpetually, even though I like it, I'm perpetually falling asleep during it. Greg?
100%. 100%. First of all, part of it is I usually watch it at night with my wife, and I'm 54 and I'm lazy. So yeah, by the time we get about halfway through, I nod off, and then I have to watch, the last 15 minutes the next morning during my workout or something to stay caught up. So these are first world problems for sure.
I apologize for not responding to that. I have never watched Severance. I wouldn't even have heard of it, except my wife watches it because she watches everything. I watch very little TV, although I do love White Lotus.
Seth, are you recommending anything these days? What's the latest recommendation that you've gotten that's any good?
I'm telling you, I don't have between sport. I'm a big reader. I can give you book recommendations.
No,
so
you know what?
We'll
it's
do
okay.
a book club.
No, well, are you built like Tim Kirkshin, like Mark Stein? We have a couple of people here who are such experts in their field that they are lopsided and therefore do not have the kind of time to invest in other things because they're pouring themselves in so much to not just college basketball, but this new endeavor that you've started, Hoops HQ, with. Is this a billionaire friend of yours, or is this somebody who's just a business relationship?
It's a business relationship, and he's hopefully a smart investor and likes media. And we launched it in late October, and we're crushing it, man. We're just providing great coverage. It's interesting. College basketball, even though it's big, it's kind of a niche sport, right? Basically, if you're not football, you're a niche sport, and that includes the NBA. Although the NBA has a way of penetrating through a lot of the clutter that other sports have a hard time. So, a lot of the sort of main media outlets, they really cover college basketball this time of year. But they don't do it 12 months all in the way we do it at Hoops HQ. So certainly encourage your many listeners to go to hoopshq.com and check us out. We're going to be ready for March. And also, by the way, the transfer portal and free agency season in college basketball in many ways is draws more of an audience than even March Madness. So we got a lot of work to do.
I want to talk to you about that as an endeavor as you continue to evolve in the media space. But before I do that, can you please explain to me whether or not you're surprised that Rick Pitino has been allowed to climb back toward the top of the sport, given how his last tenure ended?
No, because he can win. The ability for people to get past certain things is directly correlated to your ability to win, and no one can ever question Rick's ability to win. It's interesting, Dan. The thing that he was eventually fired for in relation to the FBI investigation was like the biggest nothing burger of all time. I mean, that case was an incredible waste of time, money, energy, attention. Basically these FBI agents heard all these low-level scammers scamming each other, and they thought they were telling the truth. So when one guy tells another, hey, man, I got Pitino, I got Self, I got Larinaga, I got this guy, the FBI thinks, hey, all we got to do is move in on those guys, and they'll flip. Well, it turns out there was nothing to flip to. So the problem with Rick was the optics of his being even tangentially linked to that case on top of the other things that had happened, some of which were directly his fault, some of which were his fault by responsibility. It was that accumulation. But there were other places, Kansas in particular, basically said to the NCAA, like, give us everything you got. And they stuck by Bill Self, and nothing happened to him. And he was in it considerably deeper than Rick was at the time. So there might be a little bit, I don't know what the opposite of buyer's remorse is at Louisville with Pitino, maybe firer's remorse, if that's a thing. But no, I'm not surprised because he's a great coach. And in today's era, Dan, with the portal, you can rebuild very quickly. And when you have a coach like Rick Pitino, you got guys who want to play in the NBA. And so they want to play for Rick Pitino. So not surprised at all.
In college athletics, we've seen a little bit more parity in football than I guess we anticipated. Everyone assumed the SEC would just get stronger. They've been challenged by the Big Ten and other schools. But in the other sports, the SEC's financial advantage is really sticking out, particularly men's basketball, baseball, women's basketball. On the other side of the coin, you have the ACC, and I know this was several years in the making. They're not top dog by a long shot anymore, and you've had NC State, which made a Final Four run last year, part ways with its coach. Miami, which made a Final Four run 2 years ago, part ways with its coach. Leonard Hamilton might have won a championship were not for COVID over at FSU. Parting ways over there. What do you make of what's happening inside the ACC? Are they feeling the pressure?
Well, I think it's a great question. I think they thought they were above it, or at least didn't have to do it. It's a different type of culture, different type of setup. I mean, there are some private schools inside the ACC. There are, public schools that are not necessarily as invested even in the concept of college athletics. Even Syracuse is a private school. It's big. But let's be honest, in the SEC, some of these places have been operating like this for a very long time. So this is just a matter of paperwork. Now everything is above board. And, it's the old saying, adapt or die. And, the ACC might have a storied history, but it's past history, and if you're not forward looking, you're in trouble. I mean, for example, North Carolina's been struggling again, and North Carolina just in the last couple of weeks hired a general manager. I did not know that they didn't have a general manager. I kind of assumed they did. John Shire was the first person in sports to even think of this position at the college level. Now everybody not only has one, but you have to have one. News this morning that Steph Curry is going to be the assistant GM at Davidson. I mean, all he has to do is cut one check and his job is over. So it's a great life lesson really for teachers and parents and all of us and business leaders, especially, that you cannot be stuck in past thinking. You cannot think about, well, this is the way we've always done it. It's like that old Wayne Gretzky saying, what made Gretzky great isn't that he skated to the puck. He skated where the puck was going. The ACC skated to where the puck used to be, and now they're paying the price. They have a lot of catching up to do.
You mentioned Steph Curry and NIL. James Harden says that he is going to spend a lot of money to make Arizona State even better than Arizona State already is. How much of this is going to be a future influx where NBA guys can have a role in making sure that they take care of their alma maters?
It's where we are, man. I mean, it's just a reality. And it's funny, you mentioned about Miami having fallen on hard times, but when they made the Final Four, they had their own version of Steph Curry named John Ruiz down in I think he's a Miami grad, but he was a Miami booster and a billionaire guy, and he gave them a lot of money to buy players that helped them get to the Final Four. And then he and his business fell on hard times. There was a SEC investigation and all kind, and so he's not paying the piper anymore. And look what happened to Miami. So, but the real coming change, Dan, is a genuine revenue sharing model where beginning in July, assuming this case settlement gets approved, which looks like the judge is going to do, every school now can spend up to, they're not required, up to $20 million to give to their athletes. Now they can spend that however they want. And it's going to be fascinating to see how that all breaks down. Because if you're at a place like Auburn right now, which is one of the top teams in college basketball, Alabama, certainly, obviously the first dollars out the door are going to football. And so how much really is left for men's basketball? And then you have all the other women's sports and this big question of how Title IX is going to play into it. So there's a lot more unknown than known, But the only thing we know is that players are going to have money in their pockets. And if you don't have money to put in your players' pockets at a competitive rate, whether it's directly through revenue sharing or through the Steph Currys and James Hardens of the world or other NIL arrangements, there's not as much money out there as maybe some people think. But this is the new paradigm. And if you're in the business of college sports, you better be adjusting to what's happening and what's going to happen as opposed to the way things used to be.
So given all of that, is there any chance Cooper Flagg comes back next season at Duke?
Well, Jessica, let me put it this way. There's a better chance that I will play next season for Duke than Cooper Flagg.
But
no,
the Wizards have the number 1 pick. Ugh, come on.
Yes. You know what? It's funny you say that because I'm a DC sports fan. Well, first of all, they haven't had the lottery. So I'm a Wizards fan. I go back to the old Bullets days with Elvin Hayes and Wes Unseld and the Capitol Center in Landover. And I was down at Duke a couple of weeks ago interviewing Cooper for Fox Sports, and I kind of looked him up and down and said, you look pretty good in a Wizards uniform. But the most Wizards thing ever is going to be they are not winning the lottery. Like, I am not even allowing myself mentally to go there. As far as the numbers are concerned, though, if you look at what Cooper Flagg's going to make in the NBA as the number 1 pick, Duke can't even touch that. So, but what we are seeing are players who would otherwise go to the draft in like the 2nd round, or even guys who might not be drafted and would potentially go overseas, or guys who are coming out of high school and going to play for the NBA G League Ignite, which, by the way, doesn't even exist anymore. So all of this has really been great for college basketball. And, everybody's saying, oh, it's killing the transfer portal and all that. They point to things that kind of make us uncomfortable. If you look overall, the fact that players can now make real money playing college basketball, guess what? That means more of the really good ones are staying and returning to college basketball. And that's been very good, I think, for the enterprise.
Miami is introducing Laren Yeager's replacement today in Lucas from Duke. What do you think of that hire?
Well, I think it's a great hire. The very, very interesting part of that is the timing. And this is just one of those odd things. I presume this is going to be fixed. The transfer portal opens on March 24th. And so if Miami doesn't have a head coach, not only on the 24th, but really in the run up to the 24th, it's going to be way behind the 8 ball in terms of recruiting transfers. So that's basically the deal, as I understand it, that they presented to Lucas. And, a lot of credit should go to John Shire for being okay with it, because if John Shire put his foot down and said to Jay Lucas, hey, I gave you a chance to come here. We need you for the stretch run. We're trying to win a championship. I'm not saying Jay would have done it, but it would have been a different situation. So it's a great, lesson in terms of leadership, of service, doing what's best for the people who work for you. But it's a problem because the portal opening on the 24th, so you're going to have 16 schools who are still playing in the NCAA tournament. They could move that back, even a week and a half, 2 weeks, and kind of ease that pressure. Football has a much harder problem, because for 95, 98 probably % of the schools, I guess whatever it is, 90%, their season basically ends in Thanksgiving. Now you have these bowl games that don't really matter in the grand scheme, and so kids can enter the transfer portal, but you still have 12 teams in the playoff that doesn't even begin for several weeks. And that's a very, very long lead time, and there's really not much they can do about it because there's so much time between the end of the regular season and the start of the postseason. But I'm hoping in college basketball that they'll be able to move the portal back a week or two, but there may be other factors, particularly academics, involved in that I'm not, fully briefed on, that would prevent that. But it seems to me, 1 or 2 weeks shouldn't be all that hard.
Chris Cody, always on top of things as the executive producer, has accused you in my ear of stifling a burp during that answer. Is that accurate? What would the breakfast have been? What would have been the breakfast of choice for a Seth Davis?
See, Chris needs to roll with me because I'm kind of an intermittent faster. So I have I'm in LA, by the way, so I'm up early. Dan, I love you, but it was for Leah that I'm doing this because I don't say no to her. That's my rule.
Okay.
So I got my little MCT oil and my ghee butter in my early morning coffee. Chris, you may want to give it a shot, and then I basically won't eat any food probably till I have my workout.
What I said it as a compliment because you're such a pro that it looked like a little gas or air came up, and you stayed with your point. It was, and you just kind of stifled it.
I would have no problem admitting to an almost burp or even an all-in-out belch. I've I've admitted to many worse things than that. So just being factual.
Well,
But you should still try the intermittent fasting, Chris. I recommend
give us some
it.
more information. He will never try that. It's not something that he's interested
trying to say?
in any way. Can you give me some of the other ways that you've gone full Los Angeles with your kale smoothies and your ghee butter?
Well, I was kind of there. I moved out here. I am a big juicer. I try to have a nice green juice drink every day. The key is no fruit, no sugar in there. So my concoction is parsley, spinach, kale, cucumber, lemon, and ginger. It tastes a lot better than that sounds. The lemon and ginger makes it taste good. So it's about being hydrated, being healthy, but don't get it twisted. I can put away cheesecake like no one, I love a good steak. I mean, I do like to eat. So, as I like to say, everything in moderation, including moderation.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Do you think that Seth Davis could eat a cheesecake like nobody else at Le Batard Show? Tell us about your stand-up comedy career.
Man, I didn't know you did research like this, bro. That's a little, I don't know that I would call it a career. I know it shocks you because I'm not funny at all. It was basically it was basically an itch I wanted to scratch. I was living in New York City. I grew up like so many people listening to George Carlin and Rich Pryor, and especially Rich Little, great impressionist.
You don't do impressions, do you? Did you do impressions?
Not in this. I have to think about what I want to do for you. Yeah, of course I can do impressions.
Go ahead.
Well, let's not put some pressure on him. Let's give him some time to think about which impression he'd like to unleash. But also, please continue answering the question. How much stand-up did you do? When did you realize it wasn't for you, etc.?
Should I do this whole answer? Is Rich Little doing Ronald Reagan?
Yes, duh.
I always listen to George Carlin, and one day I had a friend who took a comedy class at the new school, and there you go again.
The well is key to Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
It's really
That's it. That's it.
Every Ronald Reagan impersonation has a well in front of it.
You can flip that right into Mike Tyson. I don't mind losing about the Douglas. I just want to lose Staley. Anyway, I grew up listening to George Carlin and Richard Pryor, all these guys, and it was like, everyone's like, oh, I could never get on stage and do that, right? So I was living in New York City. A great friend of mine named Mitch Brenner was taking a stand-up comedy class at the New School down in Greenwich Village. And as part of the class, you take a few classes and then you get some stage time. And I could never do that. I can't believe you're doing that. I could never do that. And then he showed me video of him and his fellow students doing their stand-up. And of course, being students, they were awful. And I watched that and I said, oh, I can suck. I didn't realize sucking was an option. That's easy. So I'm going to go out there and suck. And I did. But, at the time, you could get 5 minutes of stage time if you brought 3 audience members. And those audience members, I think they had to pay a $20 cover and a 2-drink minimum. And I had a lot of friends in New York, so I would space them out between shows and kind of develop my material. So I had a few good nights on it. I kind of hit the low-level circuit. But to be really good at anything, you got to be able to commit yourself fully to it. And I was at Sports Illustrated, things were happening for me there. So at a certain point, I just kind of decided I was done. I did it but I will say this, that was right about when I was starting to do a lot more television, and you can see how those skills are translatable from the stage to the small screen. So but I've got a lot of mileage out of mentioning it in my bio, so thanks for picking up on it.
He will be co-anchoring the 21st selection Sunday of his career this Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern on CBS. He's also the co-founder and editor-in-chief of Hoops HQ. You have just mentioned something that it is that I wanted to sort of explore with you, which is the idea of paths not taken. You mentioned Sports Illustrated. How sad, or what's the saddest you get these days thinking about what Sports Illustrated has become versus what it is you thought you were going to do when you joined Sports Illustrated however many years ago?
Well, the only constant in life is change. And again, it's a great example of an entity not adapting and being stuck in the way things were. And especially when the people making those decisions are so vested in the status quo. That becomes difficult. So, you have two businesses. One is Blockbuster and one is Netflix. Explain to your listeners under the age of 40 or even 45 what Blockbuster is. There's a Blockbusters everywhere. And now look at Netflix, and now nobody knows what Blockbuster is. So that's kind of what happened to Sports Illustrated. I will say, though, that I'm very pleased with the way that Sports Illustrated has reconstituted itself with all of the tumult. And, there was a point in time there where we thought it was literally gone completely. So it's still there. It's still a very good monthly magazine. They still have some really good writers there. Chris Mannix and Tom Verducci and Pat Forty does a great job in college sports. I mean, they have some really good people there. Steve Cannella, the guy who's running the magazine as the managing editor, has been there long. In fact, he and I started on the same day. We shared an office, July 1995. But, I think with disruptions, Dan, and changes, and I know you're an old newspaper hack like me, there's a lot of opportunities. And, what I'm doing with Hoops HQ is a great example. I mean, we have this new creator economy where, if you're willing to hustle a little bit and just think creatively, and, use the things that got you there, which is access, storytelling, shoe leather. People want to read, people want to listen, and they'll even give you a couple of bucks for the ability to do that. So I'm not saying it's easy, but life is not easy and life is not fair. And that's kind of where we are. Sports Illustrated is the company that had a chance to buy ESPN in the early 80s, and I guess figured maybe cable TV was just a fad. So that's one of many decisions that didn't work out so well, I guess.
Before we get rid of you here, sleepers, give us 3 of them. Let's go. Give us the teams that people need to be picking when they get to their brackets.
Okay. Well, you had one that punched its ticket to the dance, as we say. Drake, yesterday, the Drake Bulldogs, really interesting story in that their coach, Ben McCollum, the job came open because the coach moved to West Virginia. So they hired Ben McCollum, who's a Division II coach. And he took a bunch of his Division II players. He won a national championship at the D2 level, brought them with him to Drake, and they won the Missouri Valley Conference regular season, and now they've won the tournament, which is really, really hard to do. They've won all year. Best player in the league, and Bennett Sturts, just a really talented guard. They're one of the slowest teams in the country, and I do like teams that play a slower tempo because it's much easier to take a team that wants to run and slow it down than take a team that wants to play slow and speed it up. So that's an advantage. St. Mary's also plays slow. I would watch out for them. Out west, UC San Diego in the Big West, similar story with some D2 transfers. And this is their first year in Division I, probably in position to win an at-large bid if they don't make the tournament. Will Wade is doing great things at McNeese. I think he's probably going to move on. You want to talk about Rick Pitino's past. Will Wade is a whole nother conversation. And then St. Mary's. I talk about a slow tempo, playing grinding defense. They've already beaten Gonzaga twice. Randy Bennett has another really good team with a lot of international players, the type of team that no one's going to want to see. I think it's only a matter of time between kind of like what San Diego State did and breaking through to the Final Four. I've long thought it's only a matter of time before St. Mary's has one of those runs. Maybe this is the year.
Good seeing you. We will check in with you on Sunday, sir. Thank you for being on with us. Good seeing you again.
All right, I'll see you next year, God willing.
See ya. We've got to get to a very expensive Cheeto. We have to get to some unfortunate wording that a broadcaster used on a California game, and we have to get to a very fast 70-year-old who is not Greg Cote. That is Greg Cote and his son breathing very heavy. At the end of the show, toward the end of the show, Greg forgets that he is on the air and he just breathes with his giant nostrils.
Well, they usually tell me to put the mic closer to me. This time it was too close by a quarter of an inch.
Now you're in peak comfort.
Well, I'm relaxed.
How fast do you think you could run 100 meters?
Probably 15 seconds.
Do you think you could run as fast as this 70-year-old right here is running 100 meters in just a second faster, a second and a half faster than Greg Cote thinks that he can run a 100-meter dash? This is pretty fast for a 70-year-old. Tomorrow we're going to have a corn dog eating competition. Greg,
Look at this guy.
Greg, this guy is going very fast. You think that you would run 1.5 seconds slower than that guy did on a 100-meter dash?
29 seconds.
Obviously, the film was sped up. Like
It was not sped
that
up.
wasn't real time.
That is real time. The wind was blowing through his hair. He would have been faster if not his hair slowing him down aerodynamically.
See, I don't have that problem.
He's right about that.
Okay, I'm gonna adjust my estimate slightly from 15 seconds to 17.5.
We're not going to try it because
I would not do that to
We're
you.
afraid of you falling on the track and breaking a bunch of brittle bones.
I would do it on a soft surface.
Tell us what's
That
coming
would
up.
not. How would you run on a soft surface?
I mean, I gotta, I don't want to break a hip.
Yeah, like on sand or the
I
beach.
only got 2 hips.
Yeah,
I
that'll
don't want
be
to break
easier.
one.
We
Tell
should
us,
do a beach race.
Yeah, beach race.
Beach race.
Yay,
Beach race.
Beach day.
Beach day. Beach race.
Beach day. Beach race.
You couldn't be more bored and indifferent while delivering content right now. You are so ready to leave. You're just ready to leave. You're
I'm not ready to
You
leave.
didn't even sing Beach Day with any enthusiasm. You just went, yay. It was just you couldn't have been any more bored while delivering what you were delivering.
You think you call it bored because I'm relaxed, because I'm supine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm relaxed. I work better relaxed.
That's the thing about beach days. You relax.
Exactly.
What's coming up on the Greg Cote Show featuring Greg Cote?
We got a lot of good stuff
With-
on the new episode 261 that dropped today, and the headline, I guess, would be the great Tony Kornheiser reacts to being named the #1 podcast host guest. in Greg Cote Show history.
You're always better when you're relaxed.
Yeah, you are
a
bored.
reaction by Tony the K.
Is this the episode where you do the number 18th spice also?
Herb.
Number 19 herb.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
last week we did our revealing the top 100 guests, so we skipped Herb of the Week last
Oh,
week.
no.
So he does reveal in this episode the 19.
Did you just reveal the #1
He did.
guest in the history of your? Is that something that's been revealed on your podcast today? Is it?
Yeah, this past week it was.
This past week.
And so this week we have a reaction from Tony Kornheiser.
There's no way he was on because he doesn't do much.
No, he
of
was.
that.
We had him on. I mean, you got to listen. To
Yeah.
hear
I
what
don't
he
believe
said,
you.
but-
I believe that it's.
Why would he lie?
Him on. I don't believe. Why would he lie to sell his podcast? And he doesn't
It
care
sells
whether
itself,
it's the
though.
truth
Yeah.
or not.
Well, that's how you
sells
get Tony
itself.
Kornheiser on. You just make him #1. You say, Tony, guess what? Big honor. You're #1. He says, you know what? Gregory, Cody, I respect the hell out of you. I'm on.
We have him on, not for a long time, but maybe a minute and a half.
For a
2
good
minutes.
time?
It's a good time. It was a great time.
Yeah.
Le Batard didn't even make the top 10, so he's sore.
Wow.
He finished 1 spot
Who was
behind
the
Gary
most-
the Bag Rosenfeld.
Upset with their ranking.
Well, Le Batard was, that's for sure.
Yeah. Dan, you don't need to be upset. I mean, it's subjective. It's a 3-person panel, 1 3s or 5s.
Right.
So I thought you were great when you were on. If it were up to me, I would have given you a 5.
The most offended was Uncle Dick because we forgot to put him on.
Yeah, we completely.
What?
So
you
we
forgot
went-
Uncle Dick?
So we went back to the next episode and we're like, all right, we're putting him in.
So disappointed. in
See you later,
myself.
Matt Pinelli.
Good. I like that. No, we did forget Uncle Dick, which is unheard of, unfathomable. All the other uns, it's unheard of, unfathomable,
Yeah, you mentioned
All the other ones,
unnecessary,
too, yeah.
you mentioned only
Unneeded.
those two.
right?
Unbelievable, really.
Unimaginable, right?
Yeah.
Un-American.
Un-American? Well, I don't know about un-American, but all the other uns were accurate.
I'm glad I've never been asked.
Uncouth would work.
Glad I've never been asked what's a good time for the 100 meters, because I gotta be honest with you, I'm just not getting around to learning exactly what a meter is. I think it's about this, but I don't know for sure.
Wanna
If we had a
learn, gotta
contest
learn.
in here, I think a lot of Americans would also fall well short of what a meter is.
Well, I only know because of Olympic timing. Like the Olympic gold medal candidates run under 10. You know, like 9. What's a great world
He
time?
just said he doesn't know.
I don't know.
9.5. I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
If you would have
I think-
asked me
I think,
before that
like-
clip, I would have been like 13.
Well, I'm
Is it
gonna
like
go-
9.2? Why is that ringing a bell?
That could be. You could be right. People are getting faster all the time.
That's true.
So I'm going to double my time and up my estimate to 18.5 seconds. Okay, because I don't pretend that at my age that I'm going to compete.
When's the last time you sprinted?
I run.
You don't.
He's
run.
right.
No, I
you
do.
don't run.
I don't believe
When
it.
do
You don't even walk.
What do you have? What, you run in those
don't
deck
even
shoes?
walk.
You don't? Do you even own sneakers?
I do
Like,
own sneakers.
We're talking to
Yeah.
a man that when his doctor asked him about how active he is, he says, I walk around my house a lot.
Well, and he tries to tell me I no longer have that doctor. He tries to tell me that's not exercise. I'm walking a mile or two every day.
A mile.
Yeah.
What difference does it make where you take your steps? You know what I mean? Get your
Right.
10,000 steps in. If I choose to do it in the comfort of my own home,
It's
what do you
about-
care,
Because
doctor?
if you're taking like 5 steps at a time, it's not the same as going for a mile walk.
It's about heart rate.
You replaced McGillicuddy?
It's more than 5. Well, this was a different doctor who shall remain nameless.
Why? Put the name out there. Let's cost this doctor his degree.
This guy's trying to tell me that you have to cardio and you have to sweat and this and breathe fast.
How dare he?
Sounds like a quack to me.
This monster.
I got a big L-shaped house.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of
It's actually-
steps I take during a day is crazy big.
With the game room of Curios, you can do a full circle.
And there's probably
But
steps,
do you?
right? There's
But
a
do you
step up
ever
and
do a
down.
full circle?
You bowl.
Not intentionally.
He does bowl.
I do bowl. That's heavy lifting right there. A 14.
You take 1 step to the lane and 1 step
Yeah,
back to the
but,
chair
but
where
you're
you drink a
tossing in
beer
some
and
curls.
eat pizza.
Nah, but you're tossing some bicep curls every once in
Right.
a
He
while.
He carries his bowling bag from the car
There
into
you
the
go.
bowling
Oh,
alley.
it's a 15-pound ball times however many times I'm lifting it.
You have your
back and
bowling
forth,
shoes in
up
there?
and down.
My dad, the only bowler in the league that always walks out of the bowling alley in his bowling shoes.
Chris,
Well,
you completely
saves time.
changed your mind about whose side you were on midway through the last 2 minutes.
Greg's
What
making some
happened?
good arguments here.
You come
You there?
in and out of the bowling alley wearing your bowling shoes. You
Right.
drive to the bowling alley in your bowling
Yes,
shoes.
Right.
And people are putting covers on their bowling shoes because you can't go in the bathroom. You don't want anything.
ridiculous.
My dad just walks outside in the
Please.
bowling,
Pish
bright blue.
posh.
I'm wearing my bowling shoes home. If I'm stopped and I see a bowling game break out over there, I can stop. I can go over and say, "Hey, let me in," and then I.
Do you stop at a bar on the way home sometimes
I hope
from the
not.
bowling alley
No.
while wearing the bowling shoes?
No, that doesn't happen.
What about your golf shoes? Do you change in and out of those?
That he usually forgets and then ends up playing golf in his boat shoes.
Typically,
I can count more a dozen times in my life we've shown up to the golf course and I left my shoes at home. So he's in boat shoes now on the third tee.
And with my game, it doesn't even affect it. It doesn't even hurt it. But golf shoes I have worn home because they don't clickety clack. They're nowadays they're not like metal spikes or anything, so they're comfortable.
Do you wear your
as a matter of
tap
fact.
shoes home?
My what?
Your tap shoes for tap dancing.
No, I don't tap dance.
Really?
No.
Good,
Why
though.
not?
That was
My
good.
mother used to.
Oh, that's good. To
His
follow
Ruth
that.
used
That's
to.
good.
Hold on,
Both
hold
of
on.
you.
Ruth
Yeah,
was a
yeah,
tapper.
yeah,
My
very
mother
good.
tap danced. It's in the family. I have never tried it.
Jake Tapper.
Jake Tapper
She's
is right. Well said.
I think that we're here castigating and frowning upon Greg when really we should be celebrating his preparedness. At any point in time, Greg can board a boat. We know that.
Or bowl.
Or bowl.
Yeah,
If a game breaks out.
that's right.
Can I get the sound of that Los Angeles broadcaster, please, using phrasing the Los Angeles broadcaster should not have used during USC, and Juju Watkins obviously playing very well, as she always does.
Juju Watkins has caught the women's basketball world by storm. Certainly lit the world of Los Angeles on fire.
Ouch.
She said the world of Los Angeles, right? Not the city. So I think she's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd call my lawyer if I was her and kind of get away from that as much as possible for trying to figure out what's going on there,
Yeah, you got to walk that one back.
Yep.
She didn't.
Give her time. She will. Right?
I don't think so.
No?
I don't think anyone is making a big deal out of this. I think it is just an athletic cliche that most people probably didn't care about or notice,
Yeah.
and therefore there will be no need for an apology of any sort, and there will no need for a clarification of any sort.
I think that we're bringing it up on a major national show. Now that the onus is on her.
Yeah.
You got to apologize. You misspoke. You know how many people lost their homes in the Los Angeles fires?
Who is that? Who is that? They're just
That's the mob, yeah.
Yeah, it was an outraged mob.
and speaking as one. It was
Yeah.
it was all of them speaking at exactly the same syllable count and
Right.
words at the same
Yes.
time, and
It
it's,
was
a
like
chorus of them.
It was like the world's longest chant.
it wasn't that long. It was just.
Oh, it was longer than the chant,
Yeah.
right? I mean, come on.
You got to walk it back because insurance companies will grasp at anything these days. You know what I mean? They're going to say, look, we have it right here on the record. It's saying that Juju started these fires, and then boom. Now it is they're not going to cover any claims.
Why don't you just leave now, Greg? Just leave since you're just since
No.
you've already since you've
No,
already,
he's doing
since
great.
you've already checked out.
Or
why
just
don't
close
you
your eyes, take a
just
nap.
Just
I'm not napping.
Close your computer. Close. Just
Put your legs crisscross applesauce and just
just pack everything up and just go. You've completed a wonderful day. You're finished.
Why are you trying to get rid of me?
I am kind of curious if in the next 5 minutes of this segment you could fall asleep. Why don't you take your headphones off
No, I'm
and
not
try
sleeping.
earnestly to fall asleep?
I'm not the least bit tired. Here, you want me to sit up? All right, let me sit up at attention.
Nap day.
Here, I'm sitting up at attention now. Ramrod straight. Look,
What?
shoulders back.
Ramming it.
I've never exactly ramming it. I've never sat taller. Right now, sitting regally.
Your son, in an effort to bail me out of the particular quagmire that you have dragged us into, just shouted urgently in my ear, "I have the Cheeto! I have the Cheeto!" He's just shouting, he's so used to producing you with Yeti on your podcast that he has rushed into the breach and come up with a topic that all of us could jump into, which is an $89,000 Cheeto. Let's check out this particular Cheeto. What does it say? What is it? Where is this being purchased?
Cheetozard.
Why
An
is
unnamed buyer purchased it. I think it was Darren Ravel.
Maybe.
and what was it indeed $89,000? And why was it purchased for that much?
Because it looks like Charizard.
I'm telling you, you give me a bag of Cheetos, I'll find one just like that.
No.
Well, you
I bet
should.
you there's one in every
It's
bag.
a great way
Get
for you to make some money.
$89,000.
Maybe we'll do this tomorrow. I'll pour out a bag of Cheetos and I will find something else in there that it won't be maybe Charizard in particular, but it'll be like something famous that we can then sell.
That's a fraudulent Cheeto. I'll tell you exactly what happened. Somebody welded together like 5 or 6 different Cheetos into that design.
That's not what happened.
And
I
it
think I
can
see
be
it.
done. It can be done.
How do you guys feel about Cheetos? When was the last
I
time
love
any of
Cheetos.
you? When was the last time you had a Cheeto?
7 minutes ago.
I love the very crunchy Cheetos. I don't like the soft ones, the big puffy ones.
Yeah, I don't like the big puffy ones either.
Well, I don't think those are Cheetos.
Aren't they?
Well, no,
those
Cheetos
are
has a brand of that.
Cheese puffs.
Yeah, cheese puffs. But I like that type of Cheeto. I don't care if it costs $90,000. Put that in front of me, I'll eat it in a minute and a half.
Well, there was another Cheeto that went for sale on auction that looked like Harambe in 2017. That one got sold for I think almost $100,000.
How is that possible? How is that?
crazy.
How is that
Ask
being?
Darren Ravel.
How is that something that people are doing and that cannot be a business of investment that appreciates? There is simply no way that you can tell me that there's a way to purchase an $89,000 Cheeto that will then appreciate in value. How is that? Is the price tag that is assigned to the Cheeto?
Think about the conversation starter that, like all your parties now.
It's not a good
You
conversation
can be like, look, I have
starter.
a Cheeto that looks like Charizard.
Yeah.
That's not a good
And
conversation.
the
Charizard.
I mean, I can't help you.
Yeah.
Oh, we have Cheetos here now. Let's see if I can find
One of the
something.
apostles, I think.
How would you? Well, if you don't even know what Charizard is, how are you going to go through your bag of Cheetos and find one, Greg?
Yeah.
Charizard.
Is he the third stage of the Charmander evolution?
Oh. That cleared it up.
He's
for
the
Greg.
third stage of the Charmander evolution.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Do you know who
Third or fourth?
Do you know who Harambe is? Do you know?
The gorilla
Yeah, this might be harder than I thought.
passed away, I believe. God
Anyone
rest
have
his
any
soul.
weld?
What?
I'd like to weld these together.
Well,
It's not like a welder. I mean,
Does
you
anyone
know.
have any weld?
I posited off mic. Do you think Flaming Hot Cheetos have surpassed regular Cheeto?
no way.
I didn't even know there were regular Cheetos. I thought they only came in hot.
Hot Cheetos are a thing, but still the best-selling is according to ChatGPT. Still the most popular and best-selling one is your traditional crunchy Cheeto. But then
So that might
second,
be true.
So second is Flamin' Hot, which is
Puffs?
Puffs are third.
Yeah.
Cheetos Flamin' Hot Limon are fourth. Cheetos Cheddar Jalapeno fifth. Cheetos Extra Flamin' Hot sixth. And then Cheetos White Cheddar Baked seventh.
You guys made fun of me recently for loving the chili cheese Fritos, which are, put it on the poll at Le Batard Show, better chip. Is it a chip? Cheeto or Frito at Le Batard Show. Would the Cheeto count as a chip?
Yeah, I would.
But I don't think it
Let me ask ChatGPT.
is it? Put it on the
Yeah.
poll as well. Is the Cheeto a chip?
This one kind of looks like a seahorse.
Yeah, it does.
How much do you think I can get for this bad boy?
Well, we need a seahorse, a prominent seahorse to die, and then just say, well,
Or we need a seahorse that looks like Jesus Christ.
Yeah, there you go.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Do you like the chili cheese Fritos? They're some of my favorites. I haven't had them in a while, but
I've had those. They're great. Yeah, I love Fritos because they're so salty.
Do you prefer the Frito to the Cheeto, or do you have do you?
Yes.
I don't like how messy the Cheeto is.
Well, you're talking about the crunchy Cheeto.
Not considered a chip because chip of what?
What is it?
You know, it's not really a chip. It's considered a snack, and it's put in the chip pile because of its association with being a salty, crunchy snack.
I'm glad we answered an important question today.
It's the height of winter, but it's also a great time to gather with friends and enjoy some Miller Lite. That's right, Miller Lite has the taste you know you can depend on. No games, no gimmicks, just that beautiful white can and a great tasting beer for people like you and me who love the taste of beer. Because Miller Lite is brewed for taste. It hits different than other light beers, with simple ingredients like malted barley for rich, balanced toffee note flavors and that iconic golden color that we all know and love. And here's the most important part for me. I mean, I like all the things, but 96 calories and just 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces, Miller Time is always a good time. The original light beer since 1975 and still the very best one. Miller Lite, great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/Dan to find delivery options near you, or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Tastes like Miller Time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
Before we bring in Juju Gotti here, we have one more slight reveal here, and I think this is a little obvious based on an announcement we plan to make tomorrow, finally, for what it is that we're doing in entirety on April 13th. But we've got Boppy coming out of retirement for this Domino tournament. We've got Ricky Williams coming out of retirement for this Domino tournament. And right on the screen there, this seems a little obvious what's happening here. He's gigante. He acts like an animal. He has an enormous freaking endowment. There's a shadow in the background of someone else who will be revealed tomorrow. But this Domino tournament is going to be April 13th. We're going to have the formal announcement on where and when and how it is you can get tickets tomorrow. But I'm told that Greg Cote is going to be playing dominoes in this tournament, even though he does not know how to play dominoes.
I know. I've been instructed. I believe I will be sitting next to him. I'm no expert dominoes player, but I know the rules.
Wait, you know
Yeah,
who it is?
I picked up the game.
Wait, Greg knows who, or Chris knows who it is?
No, we're talking about my dad's playing in it as
good.
well,
Jeez.
Right.
and he doesn't know how to play dominoes.
Well,
How is that possible?
As a kid, I used to play mahjong, which is also a tile game, and so there's an affinity there. You know,
It's not the same at all. It's
no,
not.
mahjong is one of the most difficult games in the world. 4 crack, 3 bam. I mean, even the terminology is like weird.
Did you play on one of those mahjong tables where like the dominoes just come like out of nowhere and then like move towards you and then you like put it in a secret compartment and they disappear? Have you seen those?
This was in the 30s, so
I just remember a lot of shuffling, a lot of tile shuffling. My mother used to play it with a bunch
Ruth?
of older friends. of
tapper?
hers. Yeah. Yep.
I think it's
Nana.
making a comeback right now.
I think it is too. Yeah, I think it is too. But I did learn how to play that, so picking up, dominoes would be.
Put it on the poll
would be
at
easy.
Le Batard Show. Is Mahjong making a comeback?
it'd be a walk in the cemetery.
Juju, what do you have for us today in the interest of updating the polls and updating what it is that people thought of today's show?
Today's show was wonderful, you feel me? Twitter having a couple of malfunctions today, so we wasn't able to put all the polls up just yet, but stay tuned and they'll be right there with the drop of a dime as soon as Elon gets it together. But yeah, I definitely think you guys Greg hit it on the head. LeBron has every right to be mad at Stephen A. when you say, as a father, heart-to-heart part. But at the same time, LeBron James Jr. is a professional basketball player. He walked across the stage and put the hat on. He shook Adam Silver's hand. That means you're, susceptible for necessarily criticism, but your game can be dissected. And if we're going to make such a big deal about, LeBron, he scores his first points, make such a big deal with, look, the first father-son duo to take the court at the same time. Some of those things aren't necessarily the coverage that a regular G leaguer gets, you feel me? So some of the other side of that is critiquing them whenever it's not looking so good.
I have some poll
But I also
results.
got a question. I wanted to pose a question for all the daughters in the building. How do you feel about the LeBron James, Stephen A. Situation?
Oh, thanks for asking, Juju. I really appreciate that. I feel like I'm kind of with Mike on it, where I'm like, this is all just I don't need to deal with this right now. Like some of it's just silly. I do feel a little bad for Bronny because he didn't ask for any of this, but I said that this morning, and then everyone yelled at me because I tried to show a little bit of empathy for Bronny. Yes, Billy.
We were yelling at Ethan because he's annoying.
Oh, that's fine. Understandable. It would be hard to be the son of the most famous basketball player of all time. At the same time, he's a millionaire, so that's not that hard. At least, you have financial security for the rest of your life. So I don't know. I see a lot of sides of it, but I do kind of feel bad for him being stuck in the middle.
I can't agree that he didn't ask for any of this. I think Bronny, in effect, asked for all of this because when he chooses to follow his father's footsteps, knowing who his father is, he knew exactly what he was getting into. Okay, he knows that if he's not a superstar instantly, that there's going to be the Stephen A. Smith type comment. You can't say he didn't know what he was getting into.
But Greg, it's probably what he's best at, and he's made like $8 million going down that road as a professional. That's a very successful career.
Well, I would also say,
agree.
Greg, I think that when you're someone who's a college basketball player, you're probably aware, especially when your dad's LeBron James, you're aware of what it's like to be constantly talked about in the media. But then when you're actually experiencing it and feeling the negativity of it, it probably is a lot worse than what you were expecting. I would imagine. I don't know. Chris can probably speak to this a little bit.
It's hard. It's really hard.
Mike Ryan says he's got some polls to update. You mentioned Elon Musk, Juju. I saw that Mike Myers has now been playing Elon Musk on Saturday Night Live. What has Mike Myers done recently? I saw him on Inglourious Bastards, and it seems like over the last 7 years, I haven't seen Mike Myers doing much of anything. What has he been doing?
Love guru.
He hasn't been doing much of anything. Here are the polls, poll results courtesy of Instagram because X is having all sorts of issues. If someone is dabbling in beer and hookah at midnight, do you assume that they are also snacking? Dan was on to something. 93% of our audience says yes. Here's the next poll question. Bob loves Chicago Bulls. Let's go.
Greg.
68% of our audience said yes.
You were packing up and ready to go, and you hit the microphone while packing up and ready to go. You have proven to be one who wants to be going for about 25 minutes.
That's untrue.
Liar. Do you still use the word underpants? 70% of the audience said no.
Juju, do you have any polls that you would like to update, or is Mike doing that for you today because of your Twitter issues?
Yeah, no, I upload the polls into the Instagram feed as well. So I have those as well. But like I said, so with the Elon tripping on X, it was taking me a bit of time to get it together. Plus, my building's internet went out for a little while today. It's a crazy day in the Juju Gotti household.
It's a crazy day.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, and I validate that my Twitter's not working either. It'll always be Twitter to me. I'll tell you that. But he's right.
Is that a song?
He's just petered out.
Mike Myers really hasn't had to do anything after Shrek, huh? Because, it's Shrek, Shrek 2, Shrek the Third, Shrek the Halls, Shrekless.
He's made
Shrek Forever After, Donkey's Caroling Christmas Tacular, Shrek's Yule Log, Shrek's Thrilling Tales, DreamWorks Shrek Swamp Stories, Shrek 5 is coming. I mean, I think he found his niche, ogre.
He did have a small role in Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yep. Yes, he did.
Hell yeah. Also, over the weekend, I've been getting a lot of people hitting me up saying that they checked out the TV show Paradise, and they've been telling me thank you for that because it's a great show.
So good.
So it inspired me to give my top 10 TV shows of 2024 that I can think of.
Okay.
That I can think of.
All right.
Something shocking happened back here. I think this is happening. Jess had no idea.
Mike, 5 minutes ago, if you were like, I'm going to take all of your money unless you tell me right now who Shrek is, I'd be like, Jim.
You're learning.
And I think we've done this before on the show. I think I found out Mike Myers was Shrek 3 years ago, and my mind was blown. And then we just did it again 5 minutes ago because I did not retain it.
She turned and she goes, "Wait, Mike Myers is Shrek?" And me and Mike just looked at her like, that's a bad joke. And then she was like, no, this is for real.
No,
Like,
I
you
showed
didn't
them
know
my
this.
computer. I Googled it.
You know, was going to be Shrek?
John Lithgow was Lord Farquaad?
Yeah.
I mean, that
What?
One, that one, he couldn't sound more like John Lithgow.
Wait till you find out who Fiona was.
Chris Farley was supposed to be
who's
Shrek,
Fiona?
but his passing delayed the project entirely, and then became a CGI picture with Mike Myers.
Nice. OLI, top 10 TV shows. Bad Monkey. You dig? Great show, great comedy from my brother Bill Lawrence. Vince Vaughn, I see you. Another OLI, The Landman with Billy Bob Thornton. Pretty good show. Check it out if you can. Last OLI, Yellow Jackets. Those girls be tripping.
Put it on the poll. Yellow Jackets, those girls be tripping, yes or no, at Le Batard Show. Number 10.
Number 10, Dark Matter from Apple Plus.
Number 9.
Different universes, different worlds. Number 9, Disclaimer from Apple Plus.
Oh, I thought you were making a disclaimer. Okay.
Look at Juju's hitting the Apple Plus hard.
Yes, sir. Number 8, Mr. and Mrs. Smith from Hulu.
By the way, Shrek is like the MASH of Gen Z, Greg.
Okay.
Just so you understand.
I'm still waiting for a CBS show over here. What's going on?
Matlock.
Number 7.
Number 7.
Shogun from Hulu. CBS had The Landman and Yellow Jackets as well.
Ah, there you go.
You dig it?
I do dig it.
Number 6, Lady in the Lake. Apple TV, I see you. Number 5, Fallout. Great show. Number 4, The Penguin. Yes, sir, Ski.
Colin Farrell says he's not going to do that again. He's no longer interested in doing that because, at least in part, because of how long it took to do the makeup every day. That seems a terrible decision by Colin Farrell to spend hours every day in makeup.
That's what Myles Garrett said, and Charles Barkley. He'll be back.
Number 3, Presumed Innocent.
That one's good.
Hell yeah.
Fell
Jake
apart at the
Gyllenhaal.
end, though. I'm afraid that Paradise is going to fall apart at the end because as much as I like so far, I'm 4 episodes in, and the way the 4th episode ended is genuinely shocking. Like the last 10 minutes in the 4th episode are crazy, but the writing was so awkward in some of the places in episode 2 and 3 that I'm afraid it's going to fall apart. Have you seen it all the way through, Juju? Have you seen Paradise all the way through?
Yes, sir, I did.
Does it fall
Yes,
apart
sir.
or does it stay together until the very end?
It stays together, in my opinion. It's 8 episodes, you feel me? They got re-up for season 2, so I think they got to get in the lab and get it going, but it hasn't fallen apart just yet.
Like, I have my notes on it, but overall, like, it's a great experience. I watched the whole season, and you leave it, and you're like, yeah, that was good.
I was told that episode 7, which I have not seen yet, rivals episode 7 of The Bear in terms of some of the best television you will see as the dramatic tensions rise. I have not seen episode 7. Is it what is promised by the both of you who have seen the whole thing? You guys say that that's the best episode of the 8 episodes?
Yes, for sure, 100%.
Because 1 and 4 are really strong. Like
I mean, the ending of 1, like, I would put 1 in there too, but yes, like 7 is just like you don't stop. You're like, holy shit.
Number 2, Paradise. You dig it? And number 1, the top TV show of 2024 that I can think of, The Day of the Jackal. Great show.
Ahead of Paradise. You're putting something ahead of Paradise.
Yes, sir.
Juju, thank you. When you mentioned CBS before, were you making a distinction between CBS and Paramount? Because I'm guessing that Greg Cote has not made any leap from however it is he consumes CBS to how he would have to consume Paramount.
Right. That's right. CBS Channel 4. That's all I know.
It's
Shout out
safe.
to Ghosts.
It's safe.
That's all I
It's
want to know.
safe. Shout out to Channel 4 and just generally walking into graveyards when you're vacationing.
Correct.
Eddie Murphy is Donkey?